Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we are revisiting Baltimore's public school system because a new report obtained by Fox 45, again, credit to this Project Baltimore series for absolutely killing it online, has revealed that Baltimore City high schools are doing worse this year in 2023, especially in the high school level. And some of the most historic Baltimore schools, including schools meant to prepare kids for college, are absolutely failing the students. They have dismal ratings. Something like 8.9% in one of their prep schools of students are proficient in math, which is a disaster in every possible way. We're going to get into this, but before we do, this video is sponsored, so let me toss it to the sponsor, then we'll talk about this on the other side. Cold turkey may be good on sandwiches, but there's a better way to kick your bad habits. No, I'm not talking about going and visiting the witch down the block who's going to throw some magic oil on you, then hex you and possibly your whole family and steal your soul. What I'm talking about is today's sponsor, which is Fume. Fume has an innovative, creative way to look at solving your bad habits. They think it's best to just remove the bad from your bad habits so you're left with a good habit. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get the point. Other things are bad, Fume has a bunch of good things about it. Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with magnetic parts that are great for fidgeting. This helps you de-stress as you're breaking your bad habits. Fume also has a bunch of new flavors: orange vanilla, which is sweet and citrusy with a touch of classic vanilla, raspberry lemon, a full-bodied lemonade with a hint of berries, and sparkling grapefruit, which is a fresh and cooling fruity grapefruit. Now, as you can see, this is the Fume that was actually sent to me by the company in order to do this ad read, and this is the Fume that I actually already owned prior to this ad read because I genuinely believe and endorse the product. And by the way, if you're curious about the taste, it's actually quite nice. The flavored air really hits home. What you need to do right now is join us in breaking bad habits. Go to tryfume.com/actualjustice and use the promo code actualjustice for 10% off your first journey pack right now at this moment. That is tryfume.com/actualjustice. Promo code actualjustice, 10% off. Break your bad habits. Go all natural. Fidget to your heart's desire.
Desmond Stinney doesn't need to see state testing data to affirm what he already knows.
This is not surprising. The children they're not learning in the classroom anymore.
He doesn't need to know math proficiency rates or hear Baltimore City Schools' reason for why they're so low.
So the Project Baltimore segment that we're talking about today actually starts out with a guy that we're familiar with called Desmond Stinney, and we actually did a whole video on what went down with his daughter. She graduated from Baltimore Public Schools with honors, got into a military academy. She immediately fell behind in that military academy, ended up on academic probation, and Stinney was absolutely shocked and horrified to learn that Baltimore had essentially removed all testing requirements during the year that she graduated in order to ensure that she was actually learning what she needed to learn before she went on to university.
The honor student was accepted into one of the United States military academies, but Stinney said when she got there, she was not prepared academically, especially in math, and she nearly failed out.
Now, it's important to understand that his daughter was not stupid in any way and was not lacking for ambition. When the university decided to work with her and build out a curriculum to get her to catch up, within a year, she was caught up and doing much, much better in her university. This was a complete and utter failure of the Baltimore public school system that removed certain math teaching because, again, it looked way worse for them to try and fail and have these kids not do well than it did to graduate unprepared kids, send them off to college, and watch them fail on somebody else's dime. Watch it be somebody else's problem. Again, full video of that will be linked in the description. Really proud of this father for not only fighting for his daughter, but for continuing the fight after his daughter already graduated from Baltimore Public Schools.
Fox 45 obtained this data from a source within Baltimore City schools. It's the raw, unredacted state test results from May 2023 for every school in the city. This data has not yet been released to the public.
Look, I'm linking this whole Project Baltimore segment in the description, and I definitely recommend that you guys watch it because they're doing an absolutely great job obtaining this data early, if this data was ever going to make it out to the public in the first place. Because if you'll remember, my last video that I did on Baltimore Public Schools was about how they actually, in response to Project Baltimore, ended up taking down their data, redacting it, so that they could hide the failure rate of their education system. It's absolutely crucial to have sources on the inside, good people that want to expose corruption, because the state of Maryland has essentially proven out that they will cover up bad data rather than addressing the problem. And as we can see through these numbers, that strategy does not fix the problem because the numbers are significantly worse. They're more dire, it's more pathetic, and considering that Baltimore Public Schools not only spends $1.6 billion on their education system, but they also got an additional $733 million, these results are absolutely horrible.
But we have it. As we first reported last week, we found 13 city high schools where 0 students who took the state test last spring scored proficient in math.
So again, as we've seen, and it's become a common theme in the Baltimore Public School reporting, we have 13 schools with 0 students proficient in math. Absolutely none at all in these 13 schools that are proficient in a subject that's absolutely crucial. And as we move toward a more technologically based economy, this is even more paramount for students to get a grasp of basic mathematics. But it gets worse because they also go to the top schools in Baltimore's high school system.
But we also looked at the top high schools in the city and found this. As far as math proficiency goes, Poly, where Stinny's daughter went, performed the best in Baltimore. But even at the best, just 26% of the students at Poly scored proficient in math.
Yeah, you heard that right. The best school in Baltimore City's public school system, their best high school, top of the top, has 26% of their students proficient in math. Basically, 1 out of every 4, meaning 3 out of every 4 are failing math. They're not prepared to move on out of high school. They're not prepared to go to college, and they're ending up in situations just like Stinny's daughter. And next on the list, it drops off incredibly dramatically to 10%.
The second best high school in the city, Baltimore School for the Arts, had just 10% of its students test proficient in math.
The second best high school in Baltimore has 10% of their students proficient in math. This is when they've gotten an enormous amount of funding. We talked about how they're top 3, top 4 in terms of funding in the entire country. And the best they could do at their top school is 25%. The best they can do in their next best school is 10%. Pathetic in every way.
City College and Western each had 8.9% test proficient. Overall, at the top 5 high schools in Baltimore, just about 11% of the students who took the test scored proficient in math.
Look, there's a reason why people are suing the Baltimore City public school system for violating the civil rights of their students by not teaching them anything. This is the best of the best. This is the top tier of Baltimore public schools, and it's a complete and absolute failure. Now, I know a lot of you are familiar with the TV series The Wire and how Baltimore is essentially the most corrupt place in the entire United States of America, and this is not truer anywhere more so than in Baltimore City public school system. They're getting all of this money. There's no accountability. We talked about how their top education official is pulling in $400,000+ a year in total compensation, how the next guy on that list is pulling in over $300,000, and also there's all these different scams like fake overtime, fake salaries, ghost salaries, and all of this money going into the system to give us horrible results. Does this look like a top 4 funded school system in the entire country? And remember, we did a video on a small school district in a poorer area than in Baltimore, also in the state of Maryland. Their most notable attraction nearby is called the Heroin Highway, where a bunch of addicts are using at a point where 2 highways intersect. A lot of the parents are dealing with drug addiction. 100% of the students are in poverty, and that school is scoring greater than the state's average because that principal instills a standard in his students, demands that they come up and meet that standard and excel past it, yet Baltimore's better funded, less poor student population is able to do this. And it's just not an issue. It's being covered by Project Baltimore. They do absolutely great work, but this video has 900 views. This should be a national controversy. This is pathetic. People should probably go to jail with the way that they're mismanaging this money, and yet it is just allowed to go on. Project Baltimore has been doing this series, and let's be honest, even though it's great, even though I've relied heavily on their reporting, it's not producing any significant change. It's not getting rid of the beast, the blob that is holding all of these kids back.
I think the leadership, if it's not working, it's not working. If you're not getting the results, you're not getting the results. And anytime you're not getting results there, it starts with the leadership.
Now, look, it is great to hear a father like Stinney talk about the perils of the Baltimore public school system. And while I'm happy to see somebody running for mayor saying that you can't keep putting money into this failing system.
Can't keep putting money into a bad system.
Some city leaders agree with Stinney. Sheila Dixon, who is running for mayor, has already called for city school CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises to resign.
We need to hold the school CEO and the administration accountable.
One, I don't know if she's a trustworthy candidate. I don't know anything about her history. And two, if she really does mean it, I don't know if she can win, because what's going to happen is all the people who are making money ripping off the taxpayer through the Baltimore public school system are going to run a harsh, vicious campaign against this woman, saying that she wants to cut education and she's the one who's opposed to your children learning, because this is what happens in these Democratic strongholds. This is what happens in these teachers' union towns where they run everything.
We all understand that children are our future.
But State Senate President Bill Ferguson stands by Dr. Santelises, saying no one person can be held accountable when students are undereducated.
I have a great deal of faith in Dr. Santelises. She is incredibly thoughtful.
So they go to the state Senate president and he says, nobody could be held accountable for this. How can we hold the CEO of Maryland's public school systems accountable for the failures of Maryland's public school system? It's complicated. It's confusing. You really can't blame anybody. We're just going to keep chucking money at the problem because I'm the state Senate president, and God forbid I actually come out for any kind of change in the system that is so corrupt. It allows me to be in power, and it allows me to hire on somebody who, again, we just covered last week, would rather hide the data related to failure than actually address the issue.
Project Baltimore sent this email to Mayor Brandon Scott and every member of Baltimore City Council, which gives city schools hundreds of millions of dollars in funding every year. We asked them, do you find these results acceptable, especially at the best high schools in the city? Do you support Dr. Santelises? Do you believe these results warrant a city council special hearing to question the school system? So far, we have not heard back from any of your elected officials.
Look, they're trying over at Fox 45. They're doing their damnedest to try to get some results for the parents, but in reality, there is no incentive for anybody in the Baltimore city government to do anything about this problem. This is the system that they benefit from. This is how they curry political favor, by handing out these huge dollar amounts, and they could always hide behind the veneer of doing good because they're funding education. What do you want to cut education? Well, guess what? You're an evil white racist if you dare ever try to cut education. How dare you? You're a terrible person and you are unforgivable. This is where we're at in terms of Baltimore. This is what we can look forward to for years to come, and the students that graduate these schools that end up getting into college that realize that they're completely unprepared for the university that they're in are likely to drop out because, let's be honest, they're not going to have a system like what's available in that military academy system where the school will create a program in order to fix the damage that was done in Baltimore City public schools.
His daughter worked very hard, and with the help of the military academy tutors, she was able to catch up academically with her peers. But he knows most students coming out of city schools will not be so lucky, which is why Stinney pulled his younger child out of Baltimore City schools.
Look, credit to Stinney, because in each and every one of the segments when he's featured, he comes off as this really thoughtful father who cares for his kids and wants to fix the system for other people's kids. He said what I said earlier, which is you can't expect other universities to do what his daughter's university did for her, and because you can't even trust Baltimore's #1 public high school, he ended up pulling his son out of Baltimore's public school systems and sending him to a private school so he could at least save his child. And it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be necessary. It shouldn't be that one of the top funded public school systems in our entire country is such a disaster, but really there's no way to address this problem because the corruption is completely embedded in the Baltimore public school system. But hey, those are just my thoughts. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the failures of Baltimore education. Till next time.